Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life. Explore new revenue opportunities with Harvest Hosts. List your farm and connect with a community of more than 250,000 RVers eager to support small businesses. You only need to provide space for at least one RVer to stay overnight. In exchange, the RVers will patronize your farm. No hookups or RV services required. Ready to add $15K in extra revenue with minimal time investment? Visit us at harvesthosts.com today. Hey guys, Michael here with the Thriving Farmer Podcast. And this episode is a little bit different. I don't have an intro because it's Savannah, my wife, and myself who will be going over our year in review. So one of the reasons we started the Farm on Central was to be able to give you guys, feedback and support on what it actually takes to run a small organic farm. And our farm continues to change. I think it's less of the farm every year of what we used to run back in New York, and just different because of how we've kind of changed and scaled and what's working for our community. Because I think that's the biggest thing is we are in a very different market than we were, 15 years ago when we started that farm, as well as just demographics.
Yeah.
Again, a little bit about our farm. Our farm is an 8-acre urban farm located within the city limits of Carlisle, Ohio, which is a city of 5,500 people, located in the Dayton Metro, which is north of Cincinnati, Ohio, and Southwest Ohio. There's about 1 million people within 45 minutes of us. But we are also we're Midwest. And what that comes with, which is, the diets of the Midwest, the politics of the Midwest, how people eat.
It's very blue collar.
Very blue collar, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing too is that the trends take about a decade to come out here from the East Coast.
Yeah.
Microgreens are, still a huge thing. Or anyway, it's just different.
Yeah. What people want is different.
Yeah.
What they're used to getting from farm stands or farmers is different.
Okay, let's just break down what we got at that dinner the other night. What was that called?
What?
That sausage Velveeta cheese mix thing.
Oh, hanky panky, Polish surprise. It went by different names. It was basically Velveeta cheese and sausage served on rye bread. Is that what that was?
Yeah. Yes. And that was the appetizer this place was serving. So
it's very down home,
Yes.
Because the other part about this area is that a lot of, just our immediate area, a lot of people are from Appalachia.
Yeah. Kentucky.
So, yeah. Well,
they love their tomatoes.
That whole area. They do love their tomatoes and their rhubarb and all that, which is wonderful. Great.
Yes,
love it.
Just different.
It is very different from where you were doing in upstate New York. Yeah. Which is very highbrow.
Yeah. Which is, again, made our marketing, what we sell different. I think as we kind of go through the different things that, how the changes have happened this year, you'll kind of see, how that reflects. And because, again, one of the biggest things that I want to bring out here is our farm, again, exists to be a sustainable farm. And the first tenet of always sustainability is going to be profit.
Yeah.
And so the farm has to be profitable. And this year, I don't think we'll show a profit, but the reason for that is we've probably invested another $60,000 to $70,000. We don't know the exact numbers till the books come out here, but that amount of money into the farm business. We built the retail store, which was a huge aspect of our year.
Mm-hmm.
That's increased our revenue substantially.
Right.
We brought on some key hires, which again costs money, a lot of time for training. Bought more equipment. We built new coolers. We built another greenhouse this spring, although that was funded mostly by NRCS.
Yeah.
But there was we keep dumping money into this business because we know what the potential is, and we are trying to set ourselves up for a low stress, long-term, profitable production system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say?
Emphasis on the low stress.
Yeah,
We should probably emphasize that more.
Yes, that's the goal.
That's a goal.
Yes, although yes, we are working that direction. Still very stressful.
It can be very stressful.
Yes, yeah. I think the biggest thing, obviously, I think the first thing to talk about is our store.
Right, because previously we were running a self-serve vegetable bus where people could just come in and out, and if they needed our help, they could ring this doorbell, and it was like the bus made money. It's not that it didn't. It was just kind of this drip
Correct.
that felt like a time suck sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
And how do you stock it efficiently? How do you make sure everything stays on the bus? How do you do inventory in a self-serve system? You know, just all of these little
Challenges.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were really, really like, we have got to get this store built.
Well, yeah, and I think the defining moment for me was I went on there in January and we had like a line of 12 people in January on the bus. And I was like, oh dear, we really got to do something.
Yeah.
And so from that moment, we started working towards.
You also had a conversation with of some farmers who are up north here. They came and visited the farm.
Yes.
And he was like, when we built our store, we tripled our sales. Because I think they were doing a farm stand or like a self-serve kind of situation before that.
Yeah.
And so that was really inspiring. Like, okay, we knew people were coming to the farm to shop. It was just.
Yeah. They literally, on their one day off, they came and visited us.
Yeah.
And really they again walked the farm, talked to me, she talked about what they're doing, and we kind of like brainstormed for a little bit, you know. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight last year, them popping in and just, you know, giving us that vision of what we could do. Because again, we were selling a lot, and I think, I mean, I forget what the actual numbers through the bus were last year. We are this year up 60 something %, I think.
Yeah.
So I think last year we were through the bus. I can pull that up here because I think it's worth talking about.
And you really wanted to make sure the store was done before strawberry season because that's when
it gets to become a zoo.
Well, and we have all the people who are here are once or twice a year. That's the time of year that they're here. Yeah. So if we could inspire them to come more than just in strawberry season, like, look, we have a store now.
Well, and I think in one aspect we probably did.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think the other thing you learn is certain people only come for certain things.
Sure.
I mean, we this year, I think, had more than a couple people that now start traveling multiple hours to visit the farm for our organic strawberries.
Right.
We have people coming from Cleveland, people coming from Kentucky, because they're so hard to get.
Right.
So let's go back and look at these trends here. Last year, we were at about $220,000. And that was up 120% or 121% from the year before. But I mean, the year before we were only open part of the year because we started literally in May of that year, April of that year.
Yeah.
So, and then this year, currently we're sitting right now at 350.
Well, and last year too, after Thanksgiving, we decided to just go down to being open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which helped consolidate that drip. That was the bus. And it was a good move for that year.
Well, last year we really struggled with some team too. So we lost some significant team in the fall, which kind of, I mean, I think put us in a little bit of a depression spiral.
Nobody likes us.
So that was a little bit challenging, but so we have definitely added to, you know, the sales have increased with the new store. And again, going over the store, we had an existing barn on site. We just put in we ripped out,
finished off one half of it.
We finished off one half of it, put a bathroom in, put a not septic, but a sewer system in out to the sewer. Heated and air conditioned it so we could actually sell chocolate, things like that. Brought in a display freezer, another display cooler.
And then we've just been slowly adding a lot of other different products.
Yeah. So I think, the goal, the initial spring thing was, let's just get the place done. Grinding the concrete, you know, all these things. We built that. And then it was, okay, now that we have the store, now start adding additional things. So I think we started in the spring, like adding corn chips from somebody in Kentucky.
Yeah, like a mustard.
And now we've gone till then, we've added 3 different meat vendors, dairy, additional dairy, everything like, butter, even salmon. Now we're bringing in salmon from Alaska.
Right. Yeah. We've got cream and heavy whipping cream and
More wellness products. I think the wellness line too was big.
yeah, because we have more of our own wellness line and then also getting in the natural hope stuff.
Yeah. So that has been, it's really interesting to kind of just see when you have the type of customers you have, you start looking at what other things are they buying? What are their requests? Like we just had a request for mushroom coffee the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, that's absolutely something we should be carrying because our type of customers want that.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think we talk about in the upcoming summit is with Corinna Bench is it's easy to sell your existing customers something else. It's much easier to sell your existing customers something else than finding a brand new customer.
Sure.
So instead of producing more strawberries, which we did this year, I think we actually produced about the same amount, but we had a much longer season, so it felt more profitable.
It was like the season that wouldn't end, but we'll get there.
Yes, we'll get there. That's on the list. So yeah, we did add a lot more items to the store. I think we're probably like 250 SKUs now that are actually in the store.
Okay.
And then even to the point of we've added things like rolled oats and pasta and sourdough bread. That's something we should talk about.
It is something I have on the list if you want to pull that back up.
Okay, well, we can pop down to that. You want to pop down to that one?
Sure.
Because I think that actually kind of is a good segue there.
Well, I think because of the store, we have a better idea of what people actually want because we're able to have those conversations. We're able to just kind of watch the way people shop and really see firsthand,
what they're buying,
and consistently every week when we get an update of what the top sellers are, it's lettuce and it's sourdough.
Well, yes. And so I think that's part of this. And then this is another part we'll jump into is we've done significant hiring this year and brought in significant staff leads, some fabulous, people who actually now, instead of just the store being kind of an afterthought, we now have a dedicated person that their sole job is to make the store better.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's been great. And so part of that is the reports they give us and very easily looking at, sourdough is something that is, very, very popular.
Yeah. And it's something that we are buying and selling, but also would like to expand.
Well, yeah. So part of that thing, starting to bring that in, seeing how rapidly that took off, and then realizing, you do sourdough for us and you teach sourdough classes. And the quality, again, it's okay, it's fine sourdough, but we feel like we could put our own unique spin on it, do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to be bringing that in-house in 2024.
Yeah.
And again, we're also working with local wheat purveyors too, to be bringing in wheat now.
Because I think that's really the thing that, I teach people how to make sourdough using, run-of-the-mill, all-purpose flour. And I think there's a real gift for your family and your home there, but the real food experience is if we're, really paying attention to the kind of grains we're using and making that a hyper local thing would be really fun.
Yeah. And going back to some of these more ancient wheats.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Better quality wheats. So sourdough, obviously is a big thing for us. And then we just realized if we're going to be baking sourdough, now that means we should be baking more things.
Not everybody would think that, but you do. I think sourdough's a lot in and of itself, but
well, yes, but I just see
you're gonna have me out there making croissants for the store.
Well, not you, but team will be. But okay, so let's break that down. Is we see this, so then what's the next step? Well, we started doing the sourdough classes too.
Yeah.
And so those have really expanded. And then we expanded that to an online course, which has been successful as well. And we had some classes selling out within, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's wild.
Putting the tickets out.
Granted, there's only, 8 spots per class. So,
yeah.
But still, I was like, okay.
Well, but I think I want to break this down for folks is, again, we follow what people want. We also break down everything with how does it pencil out?
Yeah.
And so the sourdough class, it's 8 spots at $57 a ticket. That's about $500 for a 2-hour class, so that you are making $250 per hour while you teach that class. Now, again, you have prep and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But it's a very good use of your time.
Yeah.
Instead of having you going out picking strawberries or picking lettuce or weeding carrots, that's a $15 or $20 an hour thing. You're doing the classes.
Yeah.
And again, we should maximize the classes because that's a lot of what people want.
Yeah.
We also did some classes at people's houses too.
Yes, those were fun. Yeah.
So we actually did like a traveling.
Really different vibe, but still really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked that. Let's dive back into the hiring processes because that in one aspect.
That's like an ever evolving.
Correct.
I mean, that just is like an ebb and flow.
It, I mean, I think we'll be honest that I'm not easy to work for. But we also expect a lot out of people.
Which can make it hard to work for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we pay well.
Yeah.
For our area and for, so I think that is definitely something which we do have a little bit higher turnover because, and one aspect we kind of want higher turnover in the aspect that we only want the best working for us. We're really committed here.
Sure.
And so we don't tolerate underperformance, And I think the other thing too is that because we're a new business, we're still rapidly expanding, rapidly growing, rapidly changing, and processes and things are changing. So because we don't have a lot of long-term staff, that is something that you're not like a lot of times not here. It's not coming in and you're just going to do your job every day. There's a lot of availability and some people just don't work well in that.
Yeah.
Being able to make, they need to be able to make decisions in their department because again, things are changing.
Right.
Being able to adapt.
Yeah.
So I think there's that. But again, I think one of the key parts this year was bringing on a really good office manager / business kind of lead there who focuses on that side. And then she's moved into HR and really helped focus on doing a good job of vetting, bringing new people in, trying people out to see how they fit. I mean, again, we've made our mistakes.
Sure. There are plenty of people who could hop on this podcast and say the opposite of the things that we're saying.
Yes.
They would gladly do it. But
Yes.
I think that's just the way it goes. When you put yourself out there and you run a business and you lead something, like you're always going to have people who get mad or upset or didn't like the way they were treated. And that is something that we have lots of conversations about, how do we move forward, even when people aren't a good fit without it being this, personal attack or a personal, there's something wrong or bad with you. It's just not going to be a good fit here with us now.
Yeah.
And that is just the way
yes,
it goes.
I think, obviously one aspect, our family lives here, so we're very careful about who we bring around our kids.
Yes.
There's that aspect. There's the aspect that we want people to take personal responsibility and really want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
committed.
Yes. And I think to some extent, especially in the farming space, you can get a lot of idealism.
Yeah.
And
I think that was a major
There's
problem.
nothing wrong with being idealistic, but at the end of the day, especially with the way that we run our farm, things have to make sense and they have to be efficient and they need to make some money because that is the first, that is the sustainability that we're running our life on because it is the way we're running our life.
Yeah. It's not all unicorns and rainbows, unfortunately.
No, and we wouldn't even want unicorns and rainbows, but it's just not this. If you're starry-eyed about farming, this isn't the farm for you.
Yeah. Nope.
And that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're here to produce food, feed our community, and we're going to be as efficient as possible around that.
Yeah.
And organic too. And we're definitely very committed to organic, but there's not a lot of wiggle room.
No, there's not. But all of that to say, the people that, are willing to just show up and do the work and not make it necessarily about some idea in their head, but like what is happening in front of them and just really trying to be flexible in the building of this.
Yeah.
Like that is who we want and have. And that's really good.
And I think the biggest thing that's been very of the people that have been successful here is they believe in the bigger vision. They understand what we're doing, why we're doing it. They are willing to work hard, but sweat equity in because a lot of times you do have to do that. And they're nothing's beneath them. I think that's definitely something which some people have struggled with that have moved along is they complained about like they were out actually working.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So it's nothing against you guys. It's just what needs done.
Right,
And I mean,
right.
we're all working. I mean, sometimes I'm out there weeding carrots or
Sure.
packing bags.
Yeah.
But other times I have to be inside doing what Michael has to do. And yeah. So again, bringing on the team has been a huge step up. I mean, we filled out our org chart, and that's something that we, again, were very intentional about. Is last year we created an org chart, the key positions, and we've been working towards filling those key positions in.
And I think we've been a lot better about doing reviews and checking in with people,
Uh-huh.
and really trying to take the feedback. Not that we were ever against people's feedback, because there's nothing about
Yeah.
you that isn't open to feedback. But I just think we've been better about that. And that is in part because of the position of having a business manager, office manager,
Yeah.
HR person to really just kind of spearhead and be like, yep, we have to have this meeting today with
Yeah.
this person. You know?
So again, a little case in point there, like yesterday we had a review with a new team member who we love, and some of the feedback they gave was, hey, this particular thing that I'm doing, I didn't understand why I'm doing it.
Right.
And we're like, oh yeah, so this is how that gets used. This is why we have you do it. So the feedback was for her, so now she actually can do a better job doing that.
Because she understands.
And now we've actually updated the employee manual, so that is in there exactly why they're doing that.
Yeah.
So that when we hire a new person, then
There's
that's
no
key right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ready to take your vegetable farming to the next level? The Thriving Farmer Vegetable Summit, happening live from January 11th through 14th, is your gateway to agricultural excellence. Whether you're balancing farm and family life, looking to ditch the 9-to-5, or aiming to double your yields, this summit has you covered. Engage with over 27 farming experts on topics from innovative marketing to maximizing space and fertility. Transform your backyard into a food haven and join a community passionate about sustainable farming. It's more than a summit, it's a movement. Sign up for your free virtual ticket at farmsummits.com and be part of the change. All right, let's just bump back to strawberry season. So strawberry season this year was good. We didn't get the same yields as we did last year. So we were looking at lower yields.
Insane, because strawberry season this year started in the middle of May, early.
May 9th.
Yeah, May 9th. And then we were still picking strawberries
In June.
in like towards the end of June.
Yes. Yeah. We
But
were solid 8 weeks.
it was,
Yes.
I literally was just like, can we be done now?
Yeah, but they were still there. So,
and it was like, oh
yeah.
no.
So I mean, a couple of things go into that. I mean, we're again, why I'm sitting inside in the office sometimes is because I'm trying to figure out how do I grow better strawberries.
Sure.
And that is one of the things that we have been moving towards, is trying to figure out a longer season. So part of that was being able to produce a much longer season.
You trialed a bunch of different strawberries this year.
Yes.
We did like 8 or 12.
Yeah, and there was a Sunday where we literally all just went out and blind taste tested strawberries until we were sick of strawberries.
Poor us.
But yes, we have the pictures of all of us, covered in strawberry juice.
We're like in our jammies.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But that was important. Unfortunately, the strawberry tip season this fall was very challenging. So unfortunately, we didn't get some of the varieties we wanted.
Yeah.
But at least we got varieties, and we did not get damaged tips, because actually a fair amount of people got some damaged tips and actually have a very poor strawberry season this coming year.
Ooh, yeah.
But we at least got good plants in the ground. We again learn more, so we're going to do an even better job next year. They're actually today the crew's out weeding strawberries. That's actually what the crew is out there today. Some of our
freezing their hands off.
Yes, seasonal
Weeding
help.
strawberries,
Is came in over Christmas break. Extending the season, we tried a couple different growing techniques, and so that gave us that 8 week. And again, the beautiful thing about that is, yes, we didn't have the record yields we had last year of just massive quantities of strawberries, but because we had 8 weeks of strawberry picking, we were able to bring customers out for that long, that amount of pulling people in, because we know fruit pulls people in. And so this coming season, we'll have strawberries, then we'll move into blackberries, and then we'll move into raspberries and blueberries. We have rhubarb this year, which we will fully harvest this year as well. So we're working hard to give us that entire season long of fruit, which is again what is a massive attraction for people.
And it'll all be you pick the
Correct.
Blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries. I mean, strawberries are already you pick. Yeah.
So we'll probably be putting some in the store, but the goal is, again, it's that the customers will be doing the work.
Yeah.
And again, it's organic fruit, so it does command a really nice price premium.
And it's delicious.
Yes. Yes, we were able to get some blackberries last year, just like literally a few handfuls, and they were really good.
And the raspberries this late summer, early fall. I mean, those were really fantastic.
Well, they were good. Yeah, they weren't as good as they could have been, which I actually think is the next thing we need to go over is the
soil and water testing and amendments.
Yes. So
that was like a big deal.
That was a big deal. This was the year that made Michael feel like he was a baby farmer again. So and it's definitely something that, you know,
humility.
Actually, yesterday I was talking to Andre because we were doing the presentation for the summit coming in January, and Andre said something about like the first year of your farming is always the easiest, and then it gets hard. And I absolutely agree with him.
Yeah.
But to go back to, you know, our farm here, we're an 8-acre urban farm. We're on one of the largest aquifers in the nation, the 5th largest aquifer in the nation. And that's one of the reasons we selected this property, is it had lots of water. Back in New York, we had very little water. We struggled for every gallon we got. The nice thing about that water is that was very clean water. The water down here has a lot of challenges. We've got aluminum, we've got fluoride, we've got I think even some high iron, and a lot of bicarbonate in there. So what that means is that, especially with greenhouses, every time we're irrigating, we're actually applying more poison to the soil. And so it really came to head this year when we were just, some of the crops just really looked like they were struggling, and we could see signs of salts, and we're like, this is only year 3. We really shouldn't see signs of salts until year 8 or 9. So we started running some tests. We started moving to doing sap tests. And the beautiful thing about sap tests is they take old leaves and new leaves. So not only do you see what's happening in the plant, like if you do just a regular leaf test or tissue test, you get what's in the plant. This actually gives you what's in the plant as well as what direction it's moving. So you can see if your nitrogen is trending the right direction or going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But immediately the test came back, and like the consultants called and they were like, okay, what's going on in your soil? Because you've got some challenges. So the first thing they asked was a water sample. So we sent a water sample in. Then we started sending soil samples in. And actually I got on the call with one of the consultants. This was early in him working with us, so he really wasn't familiar a lot with what was going on. He's like, I'm surprised, like you shouldn't be able to have anything growing in that greenhouse, is what he said to me. He said, these numbers are so far out of whack, I don't even know how anything's growing. And I was like, well, there actually is a crop of tomatoes in there. And actually, you know, until 4 weeks ago, it was literally looking like it was on death's door until we started doing, you know, the amendments and the foliars. And so now what we've moved to is amending our water that comes onto the farm, is getting a pretty big dose of a bunch of different amendments in the water. And then we're actually frequently doing 2x a week sprays to make sure that the plants are getting the right nutrients. So whereas we've used to be putting on, let's say, maybe like a ton of chicken compost every single year per acre, now we've gone to very small amounts of a lot higher priced amendments, but we're seeing way better results. So I don't know we'll ever be like easy farming here, just because, again, with the amount of water we're having and the quantities in the water is really challenging. But we've definitely gone back from this brink of wondering if we could ever grow anything on the property. And we'll be, you know, our goal is to start actually using all the rainwater off the farm too. So the goal is to start trapping all the rainwater from the tunnels and from the barn, and to go ahead and start using that in the greenhouses, which should, again, that's clean water. It's very pure. It's not going to have these salts in there, and hopefully help flush it down.
You've looked at like the filters or pure,
Correct. Yeah.
all these different kinds of.
So yeah, we did look at RO systems, and unfortunately the RO system that would be big enough for our farm was going to be about $100,000.
Yeah.
So it wasn't economical.
Right.
Would not have been economical. So right now we're working with what we're working with, and we'll be reassessing it. I mean, we may look at other problem things out there, you know, maybe looking at, you know, structuring the water differently or something like that, which may will help to drop some of these out. Maybe a massive biochar filter, that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
we'll be looking at some of this stuff. But again, it's been a massive challenge for us. And I would say it's eaten up probably a good 10 to 12 hours of my time every week.
Sure, I believe that.
Yeah. But thankfully right now we do have someone that does all our spraying, and so who's really taken that over. So as long as I can, interpret the tests and get the list of what he needs to apply, he actually does that work now.
Yeah.
And he actually does the sample,
Oh, that's nice.
which has been helpful.
Yeah.
What else do we want to go for? I think talk about the wellness line too.
Yeah, we've got that, and then the new space, and
Yeah.
then the leasing of the.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into our wellness line. So one of the big things with our farm is we're always looking for items and crops that are long-term viability. So let's take a look at this. Like say a melon. You grow a melon, the birds can eat the melon. You pull the melon out of the field. It's a shelf life of maybe 7 days and you're done.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of space. So, with a couple of things that we focus on is obviously we do the elderberries and willows, and that's something which has like a 3-month shelf time. And actually, like right now, people are pre-ordering. Like we have, like the other day, just a massive order came in. And so people are buying those year round, and then we just ship those one time a year. So that actually has been quite helpful for us, and to the point that we're now bringing in multiple other vendors to kind of help us fill the demand.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done with the elderberry, but we've also done the Farmstead Wellness line, which we grow 80% of everything that's in the bottle, and work with now a farmer that does local apple cider vinegar, and then put all that into our fire cider line and like salves and stuff like that. And that line has continued to grow. I think the biggest problem is we haven't had the time to input the time and marketing into that.
Right.
I think that's our biggest thing. I mean, like Volleyface now carries our product, which is awesome. But I would like to pick up, another 10 or 15 people that carry that product.
Yeah.
And I think one of the problems there too is we haven't been able to super well market it because
it's not certified yet.
It's not certified.
Right.
Yeah, we don't make that a certified kitchen. So we're making that under our PMA. And again, Polyface, bless them, are definitely willing to be a little renegade and sell that in their store. And I mean, we do sell a fair amount through online and then at shows and that sort of thing. But I think, once we have the new certified kitchen done, then we'll be able to do much more basically
marketing, selling, getting into stores. Cause there's a few wellness stores around us that I would love to get us in. That wellness lounge in Lebanon, maybe even the health food store, because once it's certified, it's shelf stable. So
it's got a good long shelf life. Yeah, so I think that's kind of when the thing on that is, and we keep looking for certified kitchens. It's just we never found something that was the right fit, and then we're going to do our own, and that always takes longer than you think.
Yep.
So we're still in the process for that.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of like goes into our next phase of like building, because we had this spring, we put the store in, and then when we saw the growth
Savannah's
from
rule
that,
is one big project a year. You're kind of skirting the line because you did a store in the spring and now you're doing this in the winter. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it'll cross the year. So kind of it's kind of it'll be finished in 2024.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna count it for 2024. So no more big things. 2024 has been tapped into.
Yes. But what we've done, so again, we built the store, we realized just how much demand there was, and kind of like we were stepping on top of each other.
Yeah.
To the point that we started scheduling people for different shifts because we literally didn't have space for people to work.
Right. It's like you can make this on this day and then you can watch this on this day.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we realized we needed more space. And we figured, we could go out for a loan for that. And there's definitely places that called us about that. But what we wanted to do was fund this from our community, crowdfunding. And we're probably, based on where we are, there's been ups and downs, definitely, because we had at one point we had one person that wanted to fund the whole thing, and so
that was like, well, I don't know about that.
So anyway, but we did cash flow this springs. So we were pretty, because we actually had this spring, someone said they wanted to support the whole thing as well. And then thankfully we never dealt with them because that would have been a massive issue.
Yeah.
How that relationship,
it just wasn't
a fit.
It was all meant to be, you know?
Yes. But what we've done now, so we went ahead and put together a pretty big crowdfunding campaign to raise $80,000 for a combination of like three things. If you go to our website, guys, farmandcentral.com, you can see the crowdfunding page we put together. And what the crowdfunding is for is a community engagement space. So play area for the kids, picnic tables, place for people to come and connect and just, you know, talk. Because we realize as the store increases, there's things there people want to buy that they want to eat on site. And we didn't have that space for that.
Right.
I mean, like the slushies.
Right.
I think that is like probably one of the most profitable products we had in 2024, 23 was our strawberry slushies.
Yeah. And so having a space for people to take their slushies and sit and drink them before they get in the car, especially if they have younger children. You know, I don't want a slushie spill in my van either.
Yeah, with all that sugar. Granted, and yes, so what we did with the slushies is very clean ingredients. It's, you know, lemonade, which was lemons,
It was an organic lemonade.
sugar, you know, so it's very clean lemonade, and then literally our strawberries, and that's what this in the slushie. And yeah,
our strawberry seconds.
yes.
That we
So
were
yeah,
gonna
so we
sell
actually
anyway.
made more money on our strawberry seconds this year than we did our firsts.
Yeah.
And I think we still have a little bit of puree left.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
maybe.
We tried a couple different things. We tried blueberry lavender. We tried peach, which did well, didn't do great. It was hard to.
But the peach was mostly because we just had a lot of peaches go bad.
Correct. Yes.
So we just were using up.
2024, 2023 was a very challenging peach year. So
fruit was not thriving.
Yes.
Still not.
Yeah. So like right now we can't get our citrus.
Right.
And last year we did very well in December and January with citrus. So we can't, because again, with what our store is, we don't want to just go get the organic citrus that we can get through a wholesaler. We want to be able to connect to a farm, tell a story, and bring in something that's very unique. And that's what we did last year. We had fabulous citrus. That stuff was so good. But this year they had a massive issue.
Yeah.
So we weren't able to get that.
Right.
So again, kind of back up forward. So we realized, you know, the community engagement area, we knew we needed more workspace for our team. So we're building a new pack and wash. And then we need the certified kitchen.
Right.
And then with all that too is that is a shipping and receiving area as well.
Yeah. And maybe some office space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all part of kind of the expansion. I mean, like today we are trying to figure out how to, you know, slice the concrete so that we can put in a new drain. So, you know, we're working through that, and I probably will still be continuing this in the 2024.
Yeah.
But we've probably at least a third fundraised, crowdfunded.
Yeah.
A big part of that was actually a $20,000 donation, which we actually got for this. Which again, getting that because we're 508c1a, 501c3. Anyway, I get these numbers mixed up.
Alphabet soup.
People wanted to donate to an actual 501.
Yeah.
And so what we ended up working with for that is we basically, and this is very interesting because anyone can do this. Any for-profit business could do this, is set up a fund. And we went through a local foundation. So basically it's called the Warren County Foundation. And they set up the Farm on Central Community Development Fund. And we'll be using the monies in that fund to help do the community engagement area, to fund that, and then to basically also pay for tickets for people for education so that we can do more classes and do cheaper tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, we have to be careful what we use that for. We can't use that money to go on vacation or, you know.
You go on vacation. What?
But again, it's not just free money as it
No,
were. There's a
no.
lot of, you know, parameters around that.
Absolutely.
You know, the Warren County Foundation checks up on us and all of that.
Yeah.
But again, that was a significant way for us to expand our reach.
Yeah.
And will be super helpful.
Yes. And to do more than I think what we thought originally we could do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, so we've had that big donation. We've also had some investments. We did a 5% term loan with that. So we've had a number of people do that. And then some other donations. And I mean, one of the simplest thing we did was, you know, come buy gift cards from the farm.
Yeah. And pay with cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we stress that.
Little things.
Yeah. Because again, 2020, I looked a month ago. I didn't look recently, but as of a month ago, I think we spent $6,000 in credit card fees.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's a cost of doing business,
Absolutely.
because the farm will do, a fair amount of revenue this year,
Mhm.
but it's also a cost that we, if we could eliminate it, we would.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right. So what is kind of wrapping up here?
Did you want to talk anything about the leasing of the land?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just something we've been looking for a couple of years now, is we signed about a month ago a 8-year lease that renews every 2 years. So it's a rolling lease for 5 acres of land, with water,
Mhm.
and
About 4 minutes away.
about
5
4 minutes away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a huge thing for us because of we were tapped out on this property,
Mhm.
and we are struggling heavily with winter annual weeds. So I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing, is that will allow us to now stretch our rotation out far enough that we can get ahead of these winter annuals.
Mhm. Yeah.
And do because what we'll be able to do over there is a couple years of cover cropping, getting rid of the chickweed, the henbit, all those winter annuals,
Mhm.
and then move strawberries over there. So we'll be able to give our land here on the farm a
A
rest.
little break. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was huge. That cost us, that was a lot more expensive than we thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
Even though it's a lease, we had to kind of like buy the previous farmer out, for him to vacate. But it's good ground and a really great landlord.
Mhm.
I think it's interesting because like we've been talking about that for years,
Mhm.
and we had to go ask the guy.
Mhm.
It's not like he saw that we were talking about it and be like, oh yeah, I got land.
Mhm.
We had to actually ask him, and he was like, well, let's have a conversation.
Right.
And then that conversation turned into another conversation, which turned into,
Right.
being able to lease that land
But we had a relationship with him.
before.
Yeah, with something unrelated. So
Correct.
it's just interesting how things build.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to that point, to wrap up, I think 2023, despite its challenges, because it was challenging,
Yeah.
has really been, while I'm hesitant to say it, I feel a lot more hopeful about the way 2024 is going to look.
Yeah.
As opposed to this time last year. I wasn't really sure what this year was gonna look like. And
Yes.
I think you and I both were just kind of like, dear God, what have we done?
Can we get off the treadmill?
Can we stop now? Can we? But I mean, that's just kind of the plight of farming.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to stop.
Yeah. But no, I think you're right that, it was a challenging year. We made a lot of changes, a lot of decisions. We spent a lot of money. But I think we are setting ourselves up. The 2024 should be way more seamless.
Yeah.
And I think because we have a lot of the farms should run on autopilot in one aspect, that it should just be able to run.
Yeah.
That it will free up our time to really be able to focus on the growth.
Yeah.
And so we'll be able to just see some major improvements and expansions.
Yeah. I think that 2023 really helped us just kind of settle here. Like, I think we just were like, okay, if it's within our power and our dominion and our control, we're going to really invest a lot of our energy in those things, as opposed to trying to like grasp at other
things we could do.
Yeah, I think right, because there's so many things we could do.
Yeah.
But what can we actually have the most say in? It's what we do here. And so that's why we've spent so much money into the farm and really making it happen.
At one point we were going to take the bus and travel around.
Oh, we were going to do all kinds of things.
Yeah. We had the online farmers market. We cut that back substantially.
Right. We just cut out a lot of the fluff, and like our CSA hasn't grown in the way that we've wanted to, but I think the people who are in our CSA are really happy to be our CSA members. And with the store, I think that just enlivened their experience, even though it's not as big as we would like it to be.
Correct.
It's just one of those things that,
and I think that's something in
we're always tweaking.
We definitely did a bunch of surveys, and so I'll be probably bringing in an outside consultant to go in detail with our entire CSA program, look it over, and then go after a plan to actually like explode it.
Yeah.
So, because I'd like to be about 200 members.
Sure. Yeah, I think that that's totally doable.
And there's definitely enough people in the area.
Sure. Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, that's a wrap. That's kind of our year in review. We kind of just like to, share what's going on and give you a little bit of a hope. I don't know. Maybe you're like, no, this is not what I signed up for. But I think we generally do enjoy what we do here. You're like, speak for yourself.
No, we enjoy it. I think that it's interesting. Somebody was saying, I don't remember what we were talking about, but it was like, we don't go anywhere. We're home all the time. You and I are home all the time. We're here all the time.
Yeah.
And so there is a part of that can sometimes feel a little suffocating, I suppose. I think especially for you, you like to go out and
Do things.
experience things, but I think we are building a life that we think is really valuable and important in spite of its challenges. And so even though sometimes you and I are just like banging our heads against a wall some nights and we don't really want to do it anymore, we believe in what we're doing. And so
Yeah, because we are changing how our community eats. That's the exciting part.
We're changing the way people think about where their food comes from. We're changing the way people are just making connections, and it's like I've always thought of us as the middle of a wheel, and there's just spokes going out. And so, we're just kind of emphasizing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you're right. Right now we're in the season of we're here. We're not going to place. We've got 3 young kids. So they don't need to go all the sorts of places. We've gone to the zoo a lot this year.
Thank you, Brian and Joan, for zoo passes.
Yes. But so yeah, that, and I think, it's interesting because our taxes came back and like 2 weeks later, you got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you can have Medicaid or something like that.
I did?
Yes, I threw it away. Whatever the one is, like, if you make under certain revenue.
Gotcha.
Yes,
I could get assistance
for the kids.
Gotcha.
Basically that it was.
Gotcha.
But it's one of those things, like, we run multiple businesses.
Mm-hmm.
A lot passes through those businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like our house, we have the mortgage, but the farm pays part of that mortgage. And then my other company pays another part of that mortgage because it rents the part of the house from us. Even the basement, it's full of fire cider and all these other things. So like we rent
freezers.
Yes, that can be rented out.
Yeah.
So again, we're right now, big investment, a lot going into this, but I think we're building something really cool and it's growing really fast. I think that's very interesting. I think a common comment that we keep getting when people come visit is like, when did you guys start again?
Everybody asks that. Everybody's like, only in 2020. But that's the thing that's how you run things.
Yes.
You're not,
you've got time.
We're not like slow to make decisions or implement things. But I think that the benefit of you having been so immersed in this world previously, there's not a lot of like hemming and hawing. You have the network, you have the people you need to contact if you need to figure something out to make something happen. Correct. And you know what you want.
Yeah.
In a lot of big
changes. We don't not afraid to make changes and say, well, that didn't work.
Right.
I think that's going back to like designing the wash and pack. We had a design, we ordered the trusses. Then I called Paul Arnold and said, Paul, this is my final design. What do you think? And one of his biggest advice was you ordered the wrong trusses. And so
that's hysterical.
So what we ended up doing is I called the place. They couldn't reorder the trusses because they'd already been in production. We were able to adapt them. It wasn't anything like major, but what we wanted was a larger overhang. Gotcha. We wanted a 4-foot instead of a 2-foot.
Yeah.
And so I worked with our builders, and basically we spent the money to put the extra foot and I'm so glad we did. It's made a massive difference just in how useful the building will be.
Yeah.
So again, we're just not afraid to do things and
figure it out if the thing we did wasn't actually what we wanted to do.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, folks.
Stay tuned for next year.
Yes. All right, and come visit us in the meantime. Yes, it's been amazing actually how many people have stopped by this year, just driving through. I want to see what's going on. And we're like, there's really not that much to show you, but feel free.
I think it's interesting. People think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I would think it's interesting if I showed up.
Yeah.
You guys are doing what?
Okay. All right, folks. And this I got a Merry Christmas because I think we might have one more episode before the end of the year.
Oh.
Yes, this is, I guess, well, probably this is going to air after Christmas. So this will be the New Year episode.
Oh, okay.
But yes, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and
Yeah.
belated Merry Christmas. And thanks for being part of our community.
Yeah.
So there you have it, another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.